It's Thursday, September 17. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. Former Cabinet Minister Dr. DK Duncan is dead. Dr. Duncan, who was 80 years old, died on Thursday morning at hospital. On August 30, it was disclosed by his family that Dr. Duncan, after experiencing some signs of sinusitis and tiredness, did a COVID-19 test, and the preliminary results received indicated that he was positive. Dr. DK Duncan had a long and eventful journey in Jamaica's political history. He held the post of General Secretary of the People's National Party for 7 years, beginning in 1974, and was appointed Minister of National Mobilization and Human Resources in 1977. He courted controversy with his firebrand style of politics during the turbulent 1970s when tensions between conflicting ideologies ran high. A dental surgeon by profession, he said in a 1996 interview that his focus on entering political life was to contribute to a lasting development of Jamaica's political process.
It is my considered opinion, and not only mine, a group of us who studied this phenomenon over a number of years, that no matter what kind of system you're going to put in Jamaica, capitalist, socialist, communist, no ism at all, very little progress, if any, can be made as long as this cancer of political tribalism remains in the society. It prevents the free flow of ideas, among other things.
Also in 1996, Dr. Duncan put forward the view that economics had taken a toll on Jamaica's political fabric.
If the 70s could be considered a decade of the dramatic raising of the political consciousness of the Jamaican people, the 90s, I think, could be termed as the raising of the consciousness of Jamaican people about the link between their personal economics and the macroeconomics.
Okay. Economic consciousness.
Yes, economic consciousness. I think it would be fair to say that. And when one considers all of the economic terms that have been bandied about, which people are becoming much more familiar with in a practical sense, one sees alongside that a very deep concern for personal survival. And I think that explains to a certain extent, not all of it, the link between the politics and the economics.
The elder statesman, whose political career spanned more than 5 decades, tested positive for the novel coronavirus COVID-19 on August 30. He died on September 17, 2020. The number of active COVID-19 cases continues to climb precipitously. Here is the latest update from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
5 COVID-19 deaths and 210 new cases of the virus were reported by the Health Ministry over the last 24 hours. This brings the total death count to 55 and also brings the overall case number to 4,374. The 5 new COVID-19 related deaths are an 81-year-old female from Kingston and St. Andrew and a 71-year-old female from St. Catherine, as well as a 69-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew. 2 deaths were formally placed under investigation and have been confirmed as COVID-19 related. They are a 76-year-old female from St. Catherine and a 46-year-old female from Westmoreland. 4 of the 5 persons had comorbidities. The number of active cases on the island now stands at 3,016. The ministry also reported that 45 more persons have recovered from the virus, pushing that total to 1,225. 13 persons remain in government quarantine, while 25,724 persons are in home quarantine. 111 patients are hospitalized, with 22 moderately ill and 8 critical. At this time, there are 466 imported cases and 253 cases of local transmission, while 704 are contacts of confirmed cases, 239 are associated with the St. Catherine workplace cluster, and 2,509 cases are under investigation. To date, 62,026 samples have been tested, with results pending for 46 samples. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
The wearing of masks has become a new normal in the fight against COVID-19, but the incorrect disposal of single-use masks carries with it inherent risks that the public needs to be aware of. The National Environment and Planning Agency's Anthony McKenzie spoke of this at a recent JIS think tank. Mr. McKenzie noted that the improper disposal of masks could result in them ending up in water bodies and along the coastline. An education COVID-19 management task force is being set up to help implement plans for the reopening of schools during the pandemic. The task force is being chaired by newly minted Education Minister Favour Williams. Minister Williams made the announcement following a meeting with the Minister of State Robert Morgan and members of the executive of the Jamaica Teachers Association. The team is focusing on building out the infrastructure for online and remote learning, as well as the administrative protocols. The COVID-19 outbreak has drawn serious attention to the question of global preparedness for emerging diseases. How exactly does the global health architecture mitigate the current pandemic and prepare for other such possibilities? There are calls for the convening of a high-level United Nations General Assembly to address the issue of global health safety.
Yes, we agree with that, and we hope that we can do it even in 2021. And we need to bring the whole world together in order to really build back better, as we always say. And the UN General Assembly is very, very critical. So we hope to have a focused meeting on pandemic preparedness and response in 2021.
Executive Director of WRHA Health Emergencies Program, Dr. Michael Ryan, agrees that a global summit is needed. He pointed to the failed attempt to hold the International Social and Behavior Change Communication Summit 2020 in Morocco. The summit had to be abandoned in March because of the novel coronavirus.
Dr. Tedros actually, in the last quarter of last year, was so concerned with the situation on preparedness in the world that he had engaged with the Secretary General's office, and there were a series of meetings to discuss this. WHO provided a deep risk analysis on the risk of pandemics and the risk of high-impact epidemics. And in fact, there were meetings between the Secretary General and the Director General, and they had agreed that it was needed to have a global summit on emerging diseases and epidemic and pandemic preparedness this year. And it had been agreed in principle to do that. That was being used hopefully as an endpoint from what was originally planned in Marrakesh, which was a meeting of Ministers of Health and Ministers of Finance from all over the world, again, which was planned over a year ago, again to discuss not only the health preparedness for pandemics, but financial preparedness and investment in preparedness for pandemics. Unfortunately, the Marrakesh meeting had to be obviously postponed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So Dr. Tedros has been, since certainly he took office, and certainly since I've been working on this, has been deeply concerned about this issue and has been advocating at all levels. And in fact, as I said, had engaged directly with the Secretary General, and both had planned such an event this year in any case. But obviously, it's all the more needed now in the aftermath of the pandemic.
Election cycles for Jamaica in the past 2 decades have been steadily trending to lower figures for voter turnout. However, when only 37% of the populace turned up at the polls in the September 3 general elections, eyebrows were raised. That the elections were held during a COVID-19 spike could have been a possible reason for the low turnout. Regardless, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says a joint effort is needed to engage the public on issues of governance, specifically voting. He was addressing the newly sworn-in parliamentarians on Tuesday.
We could put the Parliament to work on examining the possibilities of how we could have greater engagement. You use the term civic engagement, and I would advance that a little bit more to say we must, in this term, institute a strong program of civic education in our schools. But, Madam Speaker, my opinion, is that the most immediate effort at engaging the voters starts right here in how we conduct ourselves as members of Parliament, as representatives of the people.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips also urged a national response to address voter apathy.
These rights and the power to elect a government is something that wasn't conferred on us by anyone, but won by previous generations by dint of sacrifice, and that can never have been the purpose of Norman Manley, Alexander Bustamante. It can never have been the reason why Marcus Garvey devoted his life to the upliftment of African peoples, and it certainly wasn't the reason why Paul Bogle sacrificed his life on our behalf. I believe each political organization has to take it on as something that we separately consider, how we revive the sense of civic responsibility and civic duty. Some of this belongs, Prime Minister, with government and education and the Ministry of Education, but some of it also will rest on what we do in our communities separately.
The island has been experiencing increased rainfall owing to an active hurricane season. One of these side effects, however, is increased mosquito breeding. This has prompted the Western Regional Health Authority, WRHA, to intensify vector control activities. They have reportedly inspected about 116,000 premises in Western Parishes for mosquito breeding sites in August. Regional Vector Control Officer at the WRHA, Ryan Morris, says the increased activities have resulted in a decline in the region's Aedes index to 7% from 8.2% in July. Providing data by parish, Mr. Morris informed that the Aedes index for St. James was at 11% for August, down from 14% for the previous month. Westmoreland is at 6%. Hanover 5%, and Trelawney 8%. For many Jamaicans, fishing is their only source of income and livelihood. Many also believe that fishing will never end or it is a renewable resource, but they are wrong. A major challenge is the destruction of coral reefs. Many fish species depend on corals for food and habitat. At the same time, corals depend on certain fish species for reproductive success. In a bid to preserve and sustain marine life in St. Ann, more than 2,700 pieces of coral have been planted at the White River Fish Sanctuary in the parish. This has reportedly resulted in restoring the reef and increasing the fish population. Marlon Samuels reports.
Coral reefs provide a habitat for fish stock, protect our beaches and coastlines from hurricanes. Coral reefs are considered to be among the most threatened and fastest deteriorating marine ecosystems. A crucial management approach is to protect the coral reefs. However, the current rapid decline of the world's reefs indicates protection is not a good standalone option. In Jamaica, there is reportedly less than 20% of Jamaica's original coral reef remaining. The destruction of the coral reefs, overfishing, pollution, hurricanes, disease, and global warming are all causing the depletion of fish numbers in Jamaica. A number of stakeholders are trying to build back Jamaica's fish stock, including the White River Fish Sanctuary in St. Ann. The sanctuary forms a part of a $16 million investment from the Tourism Enhancement Fund and other stakeholders to ensure sustainability of the fish sanctuary. Over 2,700 pieces of coral have already been planted by the sanctuary. The 5 years goal is to plant over 5,000 pieces. Coral farming is a cost-effective tool for reef rehabilitation. It's also a means of improving the livelihood of fisherfolks in Jamaica. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
Global oil production is up. That augurs well for local motorists, meaning they will pay less at the pumps this week. Gabriel Thompson fills us up on the latest petrol prices and other market movements in the business report.
According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, September 17. Following a decrease of $3.06 each, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $112.95 and $115.78 per liter respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $109.41 per liter, following a decrease of $3, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is also down by $3 and will be sold for $112.22 per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene decreased in price by $3 and will be sold for $86.65 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum saw a decrease of 80 cents and will be sold for $46.84 per liter. Butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $52.50 per liter after an increase of 35 cents. Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 3,357 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 75 stocks, of which 29 advanced, 37 declined, and 9 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 28 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services, Burrito Investments Limited, and WRHA Paints Jamaica. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Variable Preference, JMMB Group Limited 6% US dollar, and KLE Group Limited. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with 2.8 million units, followed by Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with just over 2 million units, and Lumber Dipper Limited with 1.3 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Wednesday, September 16 ended trading at $142.76. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $109.15. The pound sterling traded for $182.78, and the euro ended trading at $172.30. Oil prices steadied on Thursday after a decline earlier in the day as production started in the Gulf of Mexico after Hurricane Sally, while a drawdown in U.S. crude and gasoline inventories supported the market. Brent crude futures gained 8 cents to $42.30 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 7 cents to $40.23 a barrel. And that's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
This week on Culinary Trails, host Simone Absalom treks to New Kingston in search of the Cannonball Cafe. The family-owned operation offers an interesting medley of choices, managed in an intimate and cozy setting.
To New Kingston. We're at Cannonball Cafe and we're speaking with Laura. Thanks so much for agreeing to speak with us, Laura.
We're thrilled to absolutely have you in Cannonball.
What kind of food do you serve at Cannonball Cafe?
I'm going to take this off for a few minutes if you don't mind, just to make it easier. We actually are a fast casual restaurant, so we have such a wide range of food items here, from soups, salads, sandwiches, to lasagnas, to oxtail, to curry goat pot pies. You name it, we are unique and different with it. It is everything: pancakes, waffles, bacon, coffees, smoothies, you name it, we got it.
Is this your only location?
We have 4 locations: Lower Manor Park Plaza, our Sovereign North, Barbican Low Shoe Sand, and of course our fabulous one here in New Kingston.
Okay, so tell me about your menu. I know you have several menus.
We have a standard breakfast and lunch, right? But we also noticed a trend recently that everybody wants to go on a keto diet. They were trying to get fit for carnival, fit for FET, things like that. So as you can see, we have actually developed a very extensive keto menu, and it's basically items off of our regular menu. So if you want things like an omelet with a special one of our salads put together, so you can mix and match. And that's the beauty of Cannonball. If you say to me, boy, I would really love a Spanish omelet with a Greek salad and then a side of baked beans, normally everyone's like, oh no, I can't do that. We can, absolutely. We will create it to your specification. And then as far as I'm concerned, breakfast is an all-day affair because quite frankly, who says I can't have pancakes at 7 o'clock at night? If I want pancakes, I'm gonna eat pancakes. So, and a lot of restaurants don't do that. They think that no, you have to only eat it at a certain time, up to 11 o'clock. You can get breakfast all day, every day, 7 days a week. We are good to go with that one. And then our salads. Not everybody wants to eat a heavy meal. So we have such a wide assortment of salads. We've actually even introduced a new one, a Mandarin. Oh my God, it is so good. It is an Asian Mandarin salad. Do my favorite, put some grilled chicken on top of it. Mwah! It's a homemade Asian dressing with the mandarins and the wontons. It is to die for. So we try to keep it fresh because palates change. You may get tired of the same salad every day. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and create 2 new ones for you.
New business, you have new things coming up. Tell us about that.
So we've created Ready to heat, ready to eat. It's very simple. We have it in a wide range of stuff. So this is our oxtail. We have our Tuscan garlic chicken. We have, oh my God, it is so good, a spinach stuffed chicken breast, which is unbelievable.
What time do you open and what time do you close? I know that's linked to your menu, but tell us about that.
So in New Kingston, Manor Park, and Barbican, we're open at 7 a.m. We close in Manor Park and Sovereign at 6. New Kingston is closed at 4, and then our Barbican location is 8 to 4. A little confusing, but go onto our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and they are all there ready and waiting for you to see.
What's your name on Instagram and Facebook? How can you
Cannonball Cafe. Just type it on in and we are there. And if you need to, you can also WhatsApp us, and I'm happy to give you that number if you'd like to send us WhatsApps. Yeah, sure. 876-577-7317. And we answer you as quickly as we possibly can. Our customers may not feel comfortable coming in, which is why we have bought several different delivery services online. So we have 7 Crave, we have Cut the Line, and we have Quick Plate.
In terms of how you have been keeping up with COVID-19 and the protocols, what have you been putting in place?
We actually have, due to COVID-19, which I actually want everybody to know we take incredibly seriously here. From our sanitation, to our hand sanitizers when you walk in, to our wraps, as you can see down there, people would like to wipe down their tables, to the staff cleaning it on a constant basis. That's first and foremost, security and safety first.
Regional tourism officials are calling for harmonized COVID-19 requirements for the Caribbean. More from Barbados today.
There's an appeal for a more harmonized approach from regional governments in the requirements for welcoming visitors to the Caribbean. The call came from regional tourism officials on Wednesday, during the Caribbean Tourism Organization's forward-looking discussion, which looked at how Caribbean destinations have been progressing during the reopening of their borders since the COVID-19 pandemic hit and the next critical steps they should take. Lisa Indar, Head of Regional Tourism and Health Program at the Caribbean Public Health Agency, said there was a need for more uniformity in testing requirements for visitors to the region.
We need to up our surveillance, making sure that, from the time the person entered the country and how they're surveying, how you can be able to actually to verify their stay, their contact tracing. If someone is sick, we must have proper quarantine. So really need to up our public health infrastructure and surveillance. And then I really cannot overemphasize this. The most important thing right now to break this transmission is our prevention measures.
Acting General Secretary of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, Neil Walters, echoed the sentiments.
I would think one of the most critical things we need to do at this time is to get the perspective on testing correctly and get it as uniform as possible. I think having a traveling group that knows exactly what happens when they get to the destination and having that information out there in a way that is as clear, concise, and as harmonized as possible will be significantly helpful to the Caribbean region. And I think that is something that we need to work on as quickly as we can.
Chief Executive Officer and Director General of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, Frank Comito, also called for more consistency in protocols.
More harmonized approach, more consistency in our region. We have done a great job in collaborating and cooperating, public-private sector, various governments, and so on. But it's still not what it could be. If we were more collective in our approach, more harmonized, we would create less confusion in the marketplace out there. There's a lot of confusion. Well, we heard it today. What do I need to do? There's 26 or 32, depending on how you look at it, different requirements for entry into the Caribbean. It should be more consistent and harmonized, and we should be moving towards that.
Vendors in the Bahamas are furious and calling out officers who they say are not enforcing the correct orders. The vendors say that certain officers are preventing them from offering curbside service when emergency orders allows for it. Gillian Gray reports.
Parishes dog vendors are up in arms as they say police officers seem confused over what the emergency powers orders allows vendors to do. They're calling for some sort of cohesion or instruction to be given to officers as they say it's now affecting their businesses.
There's some confusion at night time. We have two particular officers what is doing what they want to do. Sometimes you can park, sometimes you can't park, okay? Either it's going to be we can park or we cannot park.
It's like a different mandate every day. And it's a challenge that we just getting back open and trying to make $1. We have bills, we have things that we even come out of yet, a hole yet.
The latest orders state that restaurants at WRHA and Potters Key Dock can operate between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. for curbside pickup, delivery, or drive-through takeaway, once employees are wearing masks and all patrons adhere to physical distancing protocols and wear masks. However, vendors say that has not been happening. This cell phone video by one of the vendors shows an officer telling a patron to move their car.
I have it right. Can't have any roadblock. Look at that. What that is.
Other videos show officers blocking areas with their cars. President of the Fish, Food, and Fruit Vendors Association, Armonique Beau, said she's expressed vendors' concerns to officers numerous times, but those cries have gone unanswered.
When the country open up and the tourists come, we would like to know if the police is going to be telling now the taxis and the tourists you can't stand. You understand me? So we have to put some normalcy in place now before the tourists come back.
Those other people is not being bombarded every day, constantly by police officers or COVID-19 cars. They come and approaching your customers and asking how come they standing waiting for food like it ain't supposed to be. And we are actually following the protocol, take away curbside.
Only 20 of the 46 stalls on Potters Key Dock are open. Sade Raming said she will not be opening her stall until the issues are sorted out.
For you to make that type of investment for stock, these are perishable items in order for you to be able to service the public as safely as possible. And if you're unable to move your stock, then you end up with that loss of inventory, and it is not the time to be losing money. So I am uncertain as to when I would open up until this is resolved, that I feel as if I would be able to make a substantial profit from being open.
In sports, the spotlight is on football. The COVID-19 pandemic is purported to cost club football $14 billion this year worldwide, or around 1/3 of its value. That from a leading official at global soccer body FIFA. Ollie Ren, who heads the FIFA committee set up to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, says FIFA, along with financial consultants, estimated the club game to be worth between $40 and $45 billion worldwide. The figure $14 billion is reportedly based on the current scenario where football is slowly restarting after a 3-month hiatus earlier this year. And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.